I could have sworn there was no recognition, but a flush momentarily swept over her face and left it pale again. "We shall have to gag her." "Smith, I can't do it." The girl's eyes filled with tears, and she looked up at my companion pitifully. "Please don't be cruel to me," she whispered, with that soft accent which always played havoc with my composure. "Everyone is cruel to me. I will promise, indeed I will swear to be quiet. Oh, believe me, if you can save him, I will do nothing to hinder you." Her beautiful head drooped. "Have some pity for me as well." "Karamaneh," I said, "we would have believed you once, we cannot now." She started violently. "You know my name!" Her voice was barely audible. "Yet I have never seen you in my life." "See if the door locks," interrupted Smith harshly. Dazed by the apparent sincerity in the voice of our lovely captive, and vacant from the wonder of it all, I opened the door, felt for and found a key. We left Karamaneh crouching against the wall. Her great eyes were turned towards me, fascinatedly. Smith locked the door with much care. We began a tiptoed progress along the dimly lighted passage. From beneath a door on the left, and near the end, a brighter light shone. Beyond that again was another door. A voice was speaking in the lighted room, yet I could have sworn that Karamaneh came, not from there, but from the room beyond, from the far end of the passage. But the voice! Who, having once heard it, could ever mistake that singular voice, alternately guttural and sibilant? Dr. Fu-Manchu was speaking. "I have asked you," came with ever increasing clearness (Smith had begun to turn the knob), "to reveal to me the name of your correspondent in Nan Yang. I have suggested that he may be the Mandarin Yen Sun Yat, but you have declined to confirm me. Yet I know" Smith had the door open a good 3 inches, and was peering in "that some official, some high official, is a traitor. Am I to resort again to the question, to learn his name?" Ice seemed to enter my veins at the unseen inquisitor's intonation of the words "the question." This was the 20th century, yet there, in that damnable room... Smith threw the door open. Through a sort of haze, mostly born of horror, but not entirely, I saw Eltham, stripped to the waist and tied, with his arms upstretched to a rafter in the ancient ceiling. A Chinaman, who wore a slop-shop blue suit and held an open knife in his hand, stood beside him. Eltham was ghastly white. The appearance of his chest puzzled me momentarily; then I realized that a sort of tourniquet of wire netting was screwed so tightly about him that the flesh swelled out in knobs through the mesh. There was blood. "God in heaven!" screamed Smith frenziedly. "They have the wire jacket on him! Shoot down that damned Chinaman, Petrie! Shoot! Shoot!" Lithely as a cat, the man with the knife leaped around, but I raised the Browning, and deliberately, with a cool deliberation that came to me suddenly, shot him through the head. I saw his oblique eyes turn up to the whites. I saw the mark squarely between his brows. And with no word or cry, he sank to his knees and toppled forward, with one yellow hand beneath him and one outstretched, clutching convulsively. His pigtail came unfastened and began to uncoil, slowly, like a snake. I handed the pistol to Smith. I was perfectly cool now, and I leaped forward, took up the bloody knife from the floor and cut Eltham's lashings. He sank into my arms. "Praise God!" he murmured weakly. "He is more merciful to me than perhaps I deserve. Unscrew the jacket, Petrie. I think I was very near to weakening. Praise the good God who gave me fortitude." I got the screw of the accursed thing loosened, but the act of removing the jacket was too agonizing for Eltham, man of iron though he was. I laid him swooning on the floor. "Where is Fu Manchu?" Nayland Smith, from just within the door, threw out the query in a tone of stark amazement. I stood up. I could do nothing more for the poor victim at the moment, and looked about me. The room was innocent of furniture, save for heaps of rubbish on the floor, and a tin oil lamp hung on the wall. The dead Chinaman lay close beside Smith. There was no second door, the one window was barred, and from this room we had heard the voice, the unmistakable, unforgettable voice of Dr. Fu Manchu. But Dr. Fu Manchu was not there. Neither of us could accept the fact for a moment. We stood there, looking from the dead man to the tortured man who only swooned, in a state of helpless incredulity. Then the explanation flashed upon us both, simultaneously, and with a cry of baffled rage, Smith leaped along the passage to the second door. It was wide open. I stood at his elbow when he swept its emptiness with the ray of his pocket lamp. There was a speaking tube fixed between the two rooms. Smith literally ground his teeth. "Yet, Petrie," he said, "we have learned something. Fu Manchu has evidently promised Eltham his life if he would divulge the name of his correspondent. He meant to keep his word. It is a sidelight of his character." "How so?" "Eltham has never seen Dr. Fu Manchu, but Eltham knows certain parts of China better than you know the Strand. Probably if he saw Fu Manchu he would recognize him for who he really is, and this, it seems, the doctor is anxious to avoid." We ran back to where we had left Karamaneh. The room was empty. "Defeated, Petrie!" said Smith bitterly. "The Yellow Devil is loosed on London again." He leaned from the window, and the skirl of the police whistle split the stillness of the night. Chapter 4 Sterling, Ontario